I live, work, and travel full-time from an RV, totally solo. And sometimes people ask me if that's a sad or lonely existence. It's not. I'm here to tell you that you can find love on the road. Happy Sunday, birdwatchers. It's Robin with Creativity RV. I hope you're all doing well out there. As you can probably see, I am doing great. Recently, I took a trip from Colorado to the East Coast, which should have been kind of sad because on that trip, my cat of 19 years, Big Boy, died. So that was a really sad time for me. But what made it absolutely miraculous was all the love that I found on the road along the way. The first place I found it was at a campground called Walt's Four Seasons in Kansas. Look, if you are going to travel through Kansas on I-70, either direction, anytime in your life, write down this place so you can stay there because I think it's my favorite campground that I've ever been to. I found Walt's Four Seasons inside of my Campers Card app. Campers Card is like a discount program that helps you find RV parks at a discount, and it's only $39 a year. I'm loving mine so far, and score, it helped me find this campground. Now, Walt's Four Seasons is beautiful, and it's run very well, and it has everything you could ever want. I mean, there's a gas station out front, and a deli, and a pizza place, and an ice cream parlor, and a store, and putt-putt, and a pool, and these really big, well-kept, flat spaces for the RVs. That would have been fine, but that's not what made it special for me. What made it special was the people. When I got there, they just embraced me. And it's a very social bunch, which I normally am not. But they persuaded me to go do some stuff. So I was going to barbecues and small town karaoke and hanging out by the pool or just listening to somebody play live music outside by the fire. Kelly and Bud and Woody and John and everybody else there made me feel like family. They are the best group of people that I have met in a long time, and I cannot wait to go back there. After I left Walt's and kept heading east, I stayed at my first Boondockers Welcome. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've had a membership to Boondockers Welcome for a while because it's attached to my Harvest Host membership. And when I go into the Harvest Host map, all of these Boondockers Welcome locations are popping up also. And together there's more than 8,000 locations. And sometimes the Boondockers Welcome location is exactly where I need to go. But I personally was always a little bit unsure about going to somebody's property to stay the night that I did not know. But I decided to give it a try. So if you guys aren't familiar with Boondockers Welcome, it's owned by Harvest Hosts. It's $79 a year, but I will put a discount code below for 15% off so you can try it. And basically, it's local RVers in the places that you travel opening up their property so other RVers can stay overnight totally for free. Now, I've been told that Boondockers Welcome hosts are a social bunch, and they must be, because they are just friendly people that are RVers that like to meet other RVers, and that's why they participate in Boondockers Welcome. They don't get paid, and you don't pay them. It's just kind of a social way for RVers to travel across the country and meet each other. And so when I pulled into this wonderful property and met Lorraine, my host, for the first time, I could see why so many of my friends really love Boondockers Welcome. I had a lovely place to put my rig with these rolling green lawns and trees and places to sit. And then Lorraine came outside and she was lovely. And I told her about my cat and she gave me a hug. And then she brought me a piece of pie that was homemade. And then she asked me to sign her guest book. And when I left, she brought me a little bag of treats for the road that thanked me for stopping there. I was completely blown away by how kind and wonderful she was. And the experience completely changed my mind about Boondockers Welcome. Now, when I look at the Harvest Host app and I look at all those other Boondockers Welcome sites, I get really excited because there's over 8,000 locations when you add them together, and I have 3 more reservations coming up with Boondockers Welcome. I'll put the discount link for Boondockers Welcome below, along with the discount link for Campers Card and for Harvest Host, because now I want to tell you about a love story that I found on the road that blew my mind. With Harvest House, I get to go to all these amazing places and meet people and see things that I wouldn't any other way. But it never occurred to me that I could find love at a Harvest House. But that's exactly what happened for the Harvest House sweethearts, Michelle and David. And so I've interviewed them. I'm going to let them tell you their story themselves.
So our story of how we met. I was living in Atlanta, Georgia, and my wife at the time had cancer and passed away. And so I decided to sell everything and move into my motorhome. I was towing a pickup truck with a kayak and a bicycle on it, and I started heading out across the south. So as I was going across, I stopped at a Harvest Host. I had been stopping at Harvest Host quite a bit. We really enjoy those. And when I pulled into this one Harvest Host, it was a plantation in Louisiana. And when I pulled in, there was another camper there, but I went into the gift shop to check out to check in and make sure that everything was fine. And they did not have my reservation. And they were only allowed to have one camper in their parking lot overnight. And I had to leave. I just couldn't stay. I said, well, where am I going to go in the middle of Louisiana? So the
pandemic.
Yeah, the pandemic was on. But they relented and allowed me to stay as long as I went and made sure it was okay with the other camper that was in their parking lot. So I, went out and knocked on the door of this camper, and this woman popped out and we chatted a little bit, and she seemed to be fine with us staying there in the parking lot together. And that was
his own camper.
That was all.
He didn't say, "Can I sleep in your camper?" He just said, "Yeah."
So to be clear. So that was all well and good, and I went back to my camper and had supper, and she headed off with her Jeep and headed off for dinner herself. And then the next morning, I was packing up to move on, and I had decided to fly my drone to take some photos of the area, and snapped a picture of the campground, which was just where we were camping. And then she was packing up at the same time, so I went over and chatted with her and gave her my business card, and we just.
I wouldn't give him my phone number.
So
I told him he could follow me on Instagram.
But we just left it at that and carried on. She was heading off to do something that was I found very interesting. She was going to be an RV inspector, and so I thought it'd be just good to follow her regarding that. So with that, I'll pass it on to Michelle, and she can give her side of the story.
I had a colon cancer, and then subsequently I was diagnosed with with Lynch syndrome. And so what that does is I can't fight cancer cells like other people do. So it's a hereditary issue. And so I just decided then, and things were kind of rough at work and with the pandemic and all of that stuff going on. And I just said, you know what? I got to get out and live life. I got to get out and do the things that I want to do. And if I'm going to do it, now's my opportunity. Never thinking for 1 minute that I would meet somebody on the road. I was totally blown away by what happened. And we just talked and got to know each other and a little bit more. And we kept in contact, and one thing led to another. And then I was going off to Yellowstone to do work camping at a fishing lodge there outside of Yellowstone. And he was going to Canada because he's Canadian and I'm from the States. And so he was going back to Canada, and we were going to be apart for 5 months before we got back together. And then my grandmother passed away, and I came back to Indiana for her services. And he said, I don't think we need to be apart any longer.
We really had connected, and the shared interests of travel, and we were both pet lovers and kayakers and bikers, and there are just so many points of contact between us. And the love of travel was sort of the foundation.
Yeah. And at our age, I'm in my 50s and he's in his 60s. And at our age, we just said, why are we waiting 5 months? Why are we apart for 5 months when we want to be together? And so he left Canada and I stayed in Indiana, and
I got to tell you, when I came back from Canada to where she was staying in Indiana, and she was at the edge of the driveway when I drove up and waving. And that was one of the most special greetings that I have ever had.
Oh,
She was there waiting for me to come. So it was special.
Yeah, it was to be. And
So we started traveling a little bit together, and we ended up in Florida for the winter, and we made arrangements, and we got made arrangements to be married at a little wedding chapel just outside of Orlando. And it was Michelle and I and Carmen, our 13-year-old dachshund. She was our flower girl.
She was our flower girl, our best man, and our
maid of honor. And we shared our vows on February 2nd of 2022. So our wedding date is 2/2/22, and it was at 2:22 in the afternoon. And so we will always remember that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when we were sharing our vows, the minister who was there officiating started to cry. We were so honest with each other, and he was really touched by what we were sharing with each other.
He told the wedding planner, he said, I don't think I've ever heard such sweet and loving vows.
So since then, we've been traveling. And last winter, we wintered in Arizona and Southern California and New Mexico, and now we're in Indianapolis area work camping together, and we're looking forward to going back to Florida for the winter.
I have a surprise for you. I reached out to Harvest Hosts, and they love you and they love your story. So starting tomorrow, you're going to have another year of Harvest Hosts totally for free, and they're adding on Boondockers Welcome through the All Access Pass, and they're also giving you a year of Camp Scanner, the product, and Camper's Card. I've used both of those things and I love them. And they said thank you very much, and they love this story, and thank you for being members of Harvest House.
Oh my God.
That's wonderful.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, yes.
We love Harvest Homes.
Yes. Yes. We tell people about it as we're work camping, or if we tell a lot of people about it that's how we met. Oh, thank you, Robin, and thank you, Harvest Host. That's so sweet.
I tell you, love is in the air out there on the road, and I'm there for it. If you are too, then you never know what kind of wonderful experiences you'll have. I'll see you guys next week with an all-new video. Until then, everybody out there, have happy travels and be free.